Okay. In this video for Shadow of Mordor, I will be going over the Nemesis system. And I know there are a huge amount of promotional videos commenting on how you change orc society and everything. I'm going to give you the reality look at it from what I've experienced. And this right here is probably the best starting screen for. I think I might actually go to the map. Show you. Fast travel's not. Why? Why? Um, the main reason I want to point out that it's a little bit different, and some of the promotional stuff is BS. Um, it's not lies, but in in 13 of my 15 hours played in the story mode, I did not use the branding system, which is how you turn the will of an orc into yours, because you don't get it. You don't get it until the last 2 or 3 story missions in the game, out of 20. So that's kind of ridiculous, let's be honest. A lot of what they talk about in the promotional videos, and I know they're advertisement campaign, but they're what most people watch to get an idea of the game. And I'm just trying to point out the differences between promo stuff and this. Um, I have all 5 war chiefs here, completely branded. So they are mine. They have their own bodyguards, and the bodyguards that they choose also become mine. This right here is what the screen for you will look like half the time. Um, if you don't interfere with the system whatsoever, go to Udin. I was currently on Nern. This other map is more shown, I suppose. It's the primary map that you'll be on for a majority of the game. It's much larger, it's much more open, it's much easier to uh, get around as well because um, this is what it looks like over here. And honestly, this is what it's going to look like 3/4 of the time. There's going to be some dudes. There's going to be some dudes you don't know. There's going to be some war chiefs. Most of the time, you won't even recognize these. This guy is power level 9. 7 for one dude that's 16. All of the people that I have branded are much higher. 15 plus. So killing people over here is not that big of a deal. I'm sure that they'll get replaced with higher level people now that it's further along in the game. But the biggest reason why the Nemesis system isn't as dynamic as the promos would lead you to believe is that time doesn't pass unless you want it to or you die. So most of the time the screen will look like this. Here are guys you recognize that have recently been killed. You saw on the other map there were little piles of skulls or there were empty spaces. Those are guys that I didn't meet or find or identify using intel that died or got replaced or what have you. So let's pass time. Show you what happens. You advance time and it jumps to this screen and it shows you what happens. These red missions are all missions you could have participated into and decided not to. And then this is them filling up the empty slots. Some random one fills up a basic slot. And these dead guys haven't been replaced yet. Eventually, they will be replaced. But the reason why these guys aren't being replaced is because it takes longer for the captain slot, the bottom slot, because you have to work your way up, to get replaced because it requires a random grunt to get promoted. Unless they kill you, most of the time these grunts won't appear randomly. And the reason why no one's stepped up is because his replacement. Nope, don't click that guy. This kind of weird. This guy's replacement is dead. Who is this guy? And no one's replaced him yet. So the first time this guy gets replaced, and I pass time again, he's just gonna walk right up. Same thing here. Let's pass time again and see what happens. If you find that the enemies are very easy, just sit here and hit Z a bunch of times. Notice how whenever they complete an event, their power increases. If they go through recruitments, their army size also increases their follower size. Here comes a captain. He takes this guy's spot. Their power is reflective of their own abilities as well as their follower count. I've found that enemies with 9, 16. Enemies with leadership generally have a much higher demanding leader. This war chief attracts more bodyguards. He's power level 7, and he has, which is a little bit deceptive because he has 4 bodyguards. There's one that's leadership, where they summon a bunch of grunts to be allies. That is very good for boosting your power, and it'll reflect it in actual power. And I don't know why Ratbag isn't up there. Oh, that's right. Oh, I'm not even going. Yeah. But this guy has 4 bodyguards, which means he's going to be much tougher to take on without taking down these bodyguards. But if you kill his bodyguards, and then take your time, do whatever you want, so long as you don't pass the time, or die, there will always be a freeze here. So if you kill all 4 of these guys, then you go fight him. That's a legitimate tactic. There will be no bodyguards to protect. And I feel that the reason why this is deceptively dynamic, it's dynamic in the sense that you influence it a great deal. But at the same time, because it only changes when you want it to change or you die, it only changes for the good or for the bad because of you. Either it involuntarily changes because you're death, or it voluntarily changes because you pass the time. It'll also voluntarily or involuntarily change based on your action or inaction. If you do not participate in red missions as they constantly pop up, as you finish a red mission, a new one should appear. Repeatedly. If you don't participate in these, they will resolve when you pass time. If you do participate in these, they will resolve based on your actions. Again, this doesn't change unless you change it, whether between action or inaction. And you might be thinking, well, yes, duh, if you don't act, the system will change itself. Yes, but that's not exactly what I mean. If you don't pass the time and you don't die, this screen will never change. Their power levels will never change. Their locations. Notice how I know where these guys are on the map at the top right? I know where they are. This will never change unless I change it. They won't move around. Go back to the map. These guys will never change. They'll never move around. They'll never go anywhere. And I think that's the biggest problem that I have with it. And I feel that they didn't want to take the Dead Rising style approach of things are on a timer. But if things are constantly happening, I feel that that's okay. It means that if you leave the side stuff unattended to, it will get out of hand. Just like an actual army would. And I feel if they apply maybe a DLC or a game mode after hearing some of the people's requests about this, I would buy that. I would appreciate that because that I feel is a very good addition to make the world a little bit more dynamic than it already is. I said in the previous video that I feel like the world feels alive in the fact that it has its own personality, but it doesn't have population. Like, it's been like this all game where there's a group of 5 dudes here, there's a group of 3 dudes there, there's a dude over there, there's some dudes fighting a beast over there. But, like, these are little splotches. If you're looking for a legitimate fight, like, you just want to go kill some dude, it's totally okay. You have to go to strongholds. The strongholds are marked. Well, they're not really marked, but you can tell where they are by generally the massive amounts of buildings. The garrison's over here on this map. The stronghold over here, and here, and here. They have their own section, but I wish there was a map marker. These strongholds. Let's go to one. These strongholds are where most of the action will take place, especially in missions. And I think it's the only time you will ever use stealth. Because without stealth, you're pretty much not going to get anything done, and I'm about to demonstrate why that is. And I feel this game, with the Nemesis system, is better for me. Because I don't need to use stealth, but I find that if I use stealth a little bit, here and there, running away, using guerrilla tactics, I can get a lot more done. And almost all the fighting with captains and with war chiefs will be done in a stronghold. So you don't want to immediately engage the war chief by setting off the alarm. You need to whittle the dudes down, make it so that the alarms are harder to set off. But if, for example, I just do this, and I make everyone aware of my current status, which I'm going to throw this guy in fire because he's a jerk. Puts out the fire, but it's worth it. I'm going to try to get them to set off the alarm so I can showcase what I mean. This guy's going to go and set off the alarm. Now, if there was a war chief here, and I just decided to barge in, the alarm is now set. Everyone is aware that I'm here, and everyone wants to kill me. Because everyone knows who I am. Which, by the way, is a problem, that everyone knows who I am. Maybe not at this point in the game, but in early stages of the game, I find that it's a problem. Everyone knew who I was immediately. Notice how the alarm has been raised, and I've got a decent amount of dudes coming after me. This amount of dudes is still, at this point in the game, not that big of a deal. I can do this, and most of them are dead. However, the big deal is, they're endless now. Previously, if you stealth kill an entire stronghold, they're not gonna respawn randomly. But now that the alarm is raised, there will be a constantly replenishing amount of enemies. And occasionally, like this time, captains will spawn. Most of the time, captains are hiding inside strongholds anyway. So, signaling an alarm is a good way to find some. I don't know this guy's strengths and weaknesses. This is the first time I've ever seen him. But I can tell that since he's not a combat master... oh, he's got multi-attack. He's going to die fairly quickly, because he's not a combat master. I'm going to brand him just to show this off. And now he's mine. You do not have an unlimited amount of arrows, by the way. But now he's mine. Now I can command him to do things. let's not kill him. Grab him. And I wish I could do what I'm about to do from a menu. Like, I have to grab him, I have to grab his head, I have to then issue a command. I'm going to command him to... Oh, he's a really low-level dude. I can command him to try and murder another captain and take their captain's place. I'm going to command him to go and murder this guy. Now, see, the problem that I don't like is that it creates a mission for you to involve yourself. Yes. But I really wish that the mission resolved itself after X amount of time. Missions that just pop up in the world, I would understand shouldn't have a time limit. Or at least not all of them. But any mission I create should have a time limit. Especially if I have to go and find the dude in the world. If I want to come back to that guy, I can't just call him out. I have to go find him. Which is massively irritating. So a lot of the perks of the Nemesis system, of being able to start your own missions and create your own army, is nullified by the fact that you're not really much of a commander of it. And you don't generally get a very large army. Even with 5 war chiefs on that other map, I have rarely seen a group bigger than the one I'm currently fighting. Plus the war chiefs. Even in the final mission where it brings all 5 of the war chiefs you have branded to help you, we don't bring a whole lot of followers. And even the ones that we do bring seem to be very bad AI programs. Oh, I need to not die. So I'm going to flee. Which is fairly easy to do with Shadow Strike. And a lot of times the comments are made... Oh, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. There's a hate. What? Kill him. Where was I? Crap, I derailed myself. The argument can be made is that if you really want the missions to resolve themselves without you, you can just go in advance time on your own. Considering I can do it whenever I could have fast traveled. And this is true, but I feel like it's just a matter of preference, really. I would like the world to feel like it moves on without me. Not like it currently does, where it legitimately does not move on without me. Dude is not like attempts. By the way, the combo that I did earlier to kill practically everyone is not available until very, very late into the game. So do not feel like you could do that. If I had come in here before I had that combo, I probably would not be alive right now. And because I enraged this dude, he's not gonna run away. He's dead now. I was gonna kill him anyway because he insulted my family. And then he's gonna drop a rune, which I'm gonna pick up. You get bonus points, bonus stuff for killing enemies, killing captains, with their fear or their hatred. And their hatred makes them a little bit harder to kill. Oops, I did not mean to target this guy. Hatred. You don't have a hatred. Who are you? You're bad for demonstration purpose. Hate of burns and hate of ghouls. It means that they won't run away. For this guy, I could abuse his hatred by attracting ghouls or burning him with, say, explosives or throwing him through a campfire. And he will no longer run away, which is important because he's a fast runner. Now, I know what you're saying, Zach. He's fearless. He's not going to run away anyway. But this is a very randomized set of strengths and weaknesses. Sometimes I've seen some strengths and weaknesses that match up that don't make any sense. Like, there was one that was a weaknesses. His weakness was can be instantly killed by combat finisher. And then his strength was combat master, which means he cannot be engaged in a combat finisher. Then why have that as a weakness if he can't be engaged in it? It doesn't make sense. But that's a decent amount of information that is generally not in most videos that I've found. I know it wasn't very stream of consciousness, but I hope it works and it helps you. The biggest gripe that I have with this system is the way you issue missions to your minions. I have to actually go to that minion. Like, see, I can't order this guy around right now. I can't. You can tell what he's doing right now, but I can't order him to do anything. Fast travel, yes. I have to actually go and get them, which isn't all that big of a deal for the captains, but for the war chiefs, it's a pain in the butt. I have to go and find their mission, which is easier than finding the captain because it's on your map. I've got to call him in. And he creates a big ruckus when he gets called in, especially if there's war chiefs you don't have branded that might show up and try to kill that dude. See, he's here. He's here. One dude is here. And the missions that you have them do are the exact same as every other mission. Every other mission. Except it involves your guys instead of two of not your guys. And it's like there's no variety. There is a decent amount of variety between missions, but I feel like they should have given you a few unique ones. When you challenge a duel, the dudes show up with their posse against his posse and they fight, and the winner wins. I got the impression from that video promo they did of Ratbag attacking the dude with the scarred face, the troll breaker, that notice how Ratbag stabbed the dude and then died, but he got the guy's health to half. That's different. That's force the dude to call a meeting, dude gets stabbed, you win the fight. Sacrifice your captain for a war chief. Cool. Most of the time, your captains will, if they're not strong enough, die on their own. But when you tell them to do anything, murder or assassinate, it'll start the mission. Cool. And it'll be exactly like the other duels that happen all the time. Or if you trigger betrayal, if they're the bodyguard of a war chief, what'll happen is he'll either A, show up without a posse, rather than you having to do the normal problem of doing the specific requirement to call out the war chief, like he wants to test his strength against the legend of your blade, or his followers are being disrupted, or whatever. You can just directly bring him out. Or he'll be lured to some random-ass location rather than a stronghold, which is kind of important, kind of helpful. But none of it's these cool dynamic style events of betrayal. Like I got the feeling would happen, excuse me, from the promos. So And as I stated previously, the branding and dominating system to create your own army is not implemented until very late in the game. Very late. And most of the time you'll be running around sapping orcs for information on who these dudes are. You can sap any random orc and be like, who's this captain, who's this captain, who's this captain, and he'll identify them. But in order to know their strengths and weaknesses, you need to find worms and intelligence, which are marked on the map when you get close enough. Worms are orcs that have information, and you can use them to gain information on any captain, not a war chief, any captain, for their strengths and weaknesses, and any captain can tell you the strengths and weaknesses of any war chief, which I think is... it's tedious. I feel like all these captains should be known, unless they're in this row. Unless they are brand new, all of them should be identified. And their strengths and weaknesses should not come as a, I found a dude, I sapped him, or dominated him, whatever, and then he told me, this guy, for example, has all of this. This one guy knows all of this? Wow. He knows that the guy can't be snuck up on, and that he's really good at monster slaying, and then he turns around quickly if he's hit from behind. I mean, a lot of this stuff shouldn't be... it should be... you should be able to have one guy tell you this. That he can't be snuck up on, that he kills monsters quickly, and then he quickly turns around if hit from behind. Cool. One dude tells you all that. Maybe as well as Humiliator. Deadly, maybe as well. But Battle Hardened? Or Vault Breaker? Let's see if I can find some different examples. Vault Breaker shouldn't honestly be known until you try and do it, and you get denied. Vault Breaker. Fearless. The weaknesses, I feel, should only be able to be identified one at a time. You should have black bars here until you identify each individual one. And I feel it would be interesting if I had to gather intel and use it wisely to find a strength or a weakness. Because sometimes, sometimes just having the weakness is not important. Hint, this guy's only weakness is that he can be damaged by combat finishers. Great. But if I didn't know he was immune to stealth, and he drops a stunning poison cloud, and then he never runs away, he could kill me if I try to sneak up and kill him, and stealth kill him, or sneak up and do a lot of damage in an initial takedown, and then fight him, and then die to poison cloud into fearless attacks. I just feel like they could do more with the Nemesis. It's brilliant, and I hope that this company makes more games that use similar systems to this. But I wish that A, actual time passed without you having to use the system to pass time. B, the intel was less tedious and more important. I think they tried to cut down on the tedium by saying, hey, you find some intel, you'll know everything about this guy. Cool. Fine with that. I like what they've done to make it less tedious, but I still think it's kind of irritating. And I wish that the brand and the dominating system wasn't so heavily advertised, because you don't get it for 90% of the game. Also, I kind of wish I knew who all of these guys were. Like, there's a mission somewhere in the map between these dudes. There's a power struggle. I think it's interesting that I know this, even though I don't know who either of these people are, or where they are, but somewhere they are fighting each other. So now I can go find some intel, or a random orc, which I will demonstrate right now. Go. Right here. Kill this dude. I'm gonna grab this random orc, not a marked individual whatsoever. I'm gonna dominate him. I'm going to gain intel. I'm gonna find out this guy. This guy is Kothug, the meat hoarder, and he is doing an ambush in the bottom right of the map. I don't know his strengths and weaknesses because this guy wasn't a worm. But I now know where that's going on. I feel like, to me, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I know you're just looking into his thoughts, and you're not actually interrogating him. But the fact that you were easily able to identify that very specific orc doing that very specific event, kind of ridiculous. I feel like it should be random, based on who that guy knows. And here is a worm. Worms are intel orcs. They spawn randomly. You can find them. You can use them to gain intel. If I identify one of these guys, I will not know their strengths and weaknesses, but if I identify someone I know, I now know his strengths and weaknesses. Again, I now know everything about him. I think they did a really good job with it. I'm just trying to point out ways that I think it could be improved for future uses. And I think that's where I'll wrap it up. Notice, I'm going to do this. There are a group of dudes here, a group of dudes there, a group of dudes there, in groups of like 3 to 6 generally. Oh. Without the Nemesis system, I feel like this game would be absolutely an Assassin's Creed clone. But with it, even with its faults, and even with the problems that I personally have with it, but other people might not mind, it stands out. It stands out a lot more than it otherwise should stand out. And just to wrap this video up, I'm going to point out how ridiculously far I can travel with line of sight. Anyone who complains about travel distances in this game are absolutely stupid. I mean, that is absurd. I traveled from there, top of that tower, that is not currently a tower because it's a Wraith tower and all, to here. Oh no, it's that tower. Sorry. Oh, whoops. Use you. And then if I get the high ground advantage, I can just travel pretty much wherever I want, as quickly as I want to do it. Based purely on line of sight. And because of this Wraith mode, it's fairly easy to find where dudes are. I think that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helps you decide whether or not you would like to purchase this game.